everyone. Welcome to 10 Minutes Astrology Podcast, the most easy way to learn astrology. I'm Rod Chang.
I am Alejo Lopez. Welcome,
So,
everyone. It's my last day in Argentina.
okay. Today we're going to talk about the 11th house, and the next week we're going to finish the house, and we're going to outer planet. So, just give you a little bit, what do we say? The spoiler. So, what you can expect in the future? Because today the house we're talking about is related to future. But
Actually,
before we start, I want to do advertising that is also related to. No, I'm not. I'm bullshitting.
it's
so,
also
so
related to future. Yes.
yes. Okay. So we have a webinar on the 17th December, Saturday, 17th December, and is talking about Saturn in Pisces and Pluto in Aquarius. This webinar is joined by Lynn Bell, who is going to talk about the Saturn in Pisces, and our friend Fernanda Paiva talking about Pluto in Aquarius in 2023. Because if you know the astrology, next year in March, we have a Saturn move in Pisces, and then later, very soon, Pluto move in Aquarius. This kind of outer planet changing sign is a huge shiftment in the astrology. So you want to know what that position has an impact to you, please join us on 17th December, and I'll post a link here. Please send email to us, and we will help you. Okay, so 11 about the future. Alejo, what is your view of 11th house?
Okay, so my first keyword for the 11th house is the idea of groups. So the 11th house might tell you what kind of groups you want to belong to, what kind of groups you're attracted to, how do you feel in situations that are groupal situations, and all of that. I also relate, I think sometimes it's related with the idea of your political views. And I think it has to do again with this idea of belonging to a group. So your political views will tell you to which political group you belong to. What I think about this is interesting because sometimes we get really pissed off when we hear some ideas about politics. And if it's embedded in the chart, I don't know, maybe are we that free to choose what we believe politically or not? I think it's a good question to ask. I think we are, because remember the signs might tell you, like planets here and signs here might tell you about some ways that these political views are structured. It doesn't tell you really the content of the political views, right? And sometimes when you see at very opposing political views, the inner structure is actually not so, the inner logic is not so different. It's just the content that's different, gets them to different situations. But to kind of wrap up, I think there might be this idea of groups and this idea of political belonging to different groups. Then in traditional astrology, we have this idea of hopes and wishes. So when people ask about if they're going to be, if they're in jail, like in traditional astrology, when we study traditional astrology, we study from cases, we study from examples, right? And in old times, there were a lot of examples about people who feared going to jail. And actually, it could happen also in modern times. Or maybe they have a trial or something. So if the 11th house was very activated in a positive way, it would mean that their hopes and wishes were coming true. So there's this idea of the 11th house telling you what you hope for, what your hopes and wishes are.
Yeah, very interesting because I like to help. I'm not saying I'm going to explain, but I'm going to help our audience remember what you say by saying something interesting. The first, because we know the concept of opposite house. So the 5th house and the 11th house, they are opposite each other. I want you first things to remember one keyword for me for both 5th house and 11th house: party. But a different meaning because the 5th house party is yay, party, fiesta. But the party in 11th house is the political party. Your political view, view, and you share your political view, and that's also the meaning of 11th house. Because English is not my first language, So in my Chinese background and the Chinese language, usually when you see someone and ask, like people maybe ask to say, "Oh, who is that guy?" It's, "Oh, a friend." And everyone you say is a friend, a friend, a friend. So when people ask me, like, what is 11th house? When you tell them 11th house is a friend, and I have to specify because sometimes those people is acquaintance, is not friend. But in Chinese, we all call it friend. But friend, there's in the 11th house, especially in astrology, in 11th house, there's a very important meaning. You share the same goal. You share the same interest. That's why you form a club, you form a group, you like a reading club, you go to the hiking club, you go to yoga class together, or you talk about politics together, or like we study astrology together. The group of astrologer, we will be the 11th house. If you go to
Yes.
somewhere, you share the same interest or same political view, and that's a place. And people from there, that's the 11th house. That's the 11th house. Another thing is the more modern meaning about it is like I think this is from Forrest Spota, another great astrologer I adore, I love most. He talked about 11th house. He say this way. He say, well, 11th house is help us to go to the future. It make us to go beyond ourselves. Fifth house is ourselves, me, my creative, my creation.
Mm.
But 11th house make you go further. And you cannot go further in your original shape, in your original mind. You need something bigger than your friends join you. Your friend join you and push you forward to the future, something better, something greater. And I like this meaning, this idea about 11th house and also wish and hope. Yes, definitely related to 11th house. So today we're going to talk about a chart example would be very interesting because we were just like, oh, what is his social life, or what is the political view, or what is? Let's go to Dali, like last week. Salvador Dali. He also has a very busy 11th house, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Everything is all of the higher houses are busy in his chart.
yeah,
So we see here Mercury and Mars in the
hmm
11th house,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I would say let's take Mars.
yeah,
So Mars in Taurus in the 11th. So
hmm
Mars, remember, is how we fight. What makes us feel alive? What pushes us into action.
yeah.
And Dali was known for having um, some quarrels, let's say, with the other surrealist artists.
Ah,
He used to fight with them quite a bit. He actually he ended up saying, there are the surrealist artists, and then there's myself, who I'm a real surrealist artist, something like
yeah.
that. I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something like that. Like, I'm the real surrealist artist. All of the rest are just, you know. So this is a very Mars thing. It's like within
Exactly.
my group of friends, within the group of the people I belong to, I have this kind of competitive approach, this kind of fierce approach.
Yeah.
And again, with Taurus, it means that he might express this in long term, so for a long time, he
hmm
can keep up with his desires and with maybe he wants to be the leader of the movement with Mars here. And with
hmm
Taurus, he has the stamina to keep up in order to not to back up. Mars in Taurus is somebody who doesn't give up. He's like a bull who won't give up.
yeah.
What do you think, Ro? Do you have any other ideas?
Yeah, I think it is very interesting. This Mars in Taurus in 11. So the things he see the future, and the things he going to achieve for this area of 11 house of hope of what you wish is in a Taurus Mars in Taurus way, which means yes, I move, I push forward, but slowly and steady. Sometimes it may be not even going to move, or sometimes it's just a root
Mm.
here. I'm going to stand here, I'm going to root here. So it is very interesting. If you hear about Dali's quote, one thing is very interesting. I like this one is have no fear of perfection. You will never reach it. look at that Taurus, Mars in Taurus. You will never reach it, and that is the that Mars is very interesting, has very interesting position in his chart, and that's how I remember this chart. Mars in Taurus in 11.
Yeah, and he was also like, it's kind of a contradiction. I mean, he was a surrealist, so it's very
Mm-hmm.
anti-fascism, but
Yeah,
yet when Franco was into power, he kind of accepted Franco in
mm-hmm.
order to feel safe, in order to survive.
Safe, survive, Taurus. But
Yes.
Mars is also related to safe. Wow, that is so interesting. That
I
is
mean,
so
I'm probably
interesting.
creating controversy among his colleagues and
Mm-hmm.
friends, the other surrealists, who are obviously, I
Yeah.
mean, how can a surrealist artist be a friend of a dictator? That's surrealism in itself. I think it's like, how can that happen? Yes.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. But I think if we go to analyze whole chart, we may find the explanation
Yeah,
from
for sure. Yes.
other part of the chart. But which is interesting, they explain the controversial idea and the controversial image about this 11th house. It is very interesting. Should we leave another planet, Mercury in Taurus, as an exercise for our audience?
Yeah, let's do Mercury in Taurus in the 11th as an
Yeah,
exercise.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So give them some help, should we?
So, Mercury, we said it's what we think, how we think, what we
Mm-hmm,
speak about, how we speak,
mm-hmm,
and
mm,
how we interchange ideas, how we interchange words, even. So,
mm.
if it's in the 11th house and in Taurus, remember, Taurus will tell you how this person is doing that. So, when you
Uh-huh.
hear them speaking, when you hear them sharing ideas, how you're going to hear the voice. And then the 11th house is where are they going to speak, or yeah, what are they going to speak about?
Mm.
I won't
Cool.
give you any clues. I think it's
Yeah, I think you should let some work for them to do it.
yes.
But thank you for listening and watch 10 minutes astrology this week. We learned something about the 11th house, which is very interesting, one of our very interesting house. And usually in ancient astrology, this is a good house. This is a house of good luck, to be honest.
Yes.
And so you will like it. Well, if you like our podcast, please like and share and subscribe. And if you have any question and feedback, please contact us by email, aoa.inquiry@gmail.com, or join us to our Facebook group, 10 Minutes Astrology. And you can find Alejo on his Instagram and his website if you want to do the chart reading with him at
It's liminalcosmos.com, or the Instagram is just liminalcosmos, of course. And yes, I'm open for consultations, or also I'm a therapist, so if you want to go like through a therapy process, I'm also
mm,
available for that.
yeah, that is especially, I mean, I don't talk about the psychotherapy view because that's not my area, but I know for the astrologer, this season is very busy. So if you want to book a reading, book fast. Okay, thanks everyone. And the next week, Alejo, what house are we going to talk about?
Next week we're going to talk about the 12th house, or the
Yes, I
right?
think yeah, 12 house. Yes, you you can still count it. You're not too tired.
No, I wasn't sure if we're going to go to transpersonal planets, but I think that's later, right?
Yeah, 12 house, and then we go to transpersonal one. That would be interesting. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for watching. See you next week. Bye.
Bye bye.